Hi, we are from Group 1. So today we are going to present our mini case study which is on the cards decision making. A decision is a choice between two or more options, whereas decision making is an action or process that involves making critical decisions. Making decisions can keep someone from making decisions that are not appropriate for the situation. The purpose of this case study is to address some of the issues raised in the case study, which are the ongoing decisions are necessary about the size of the franchise areas, numerous factors that should be considered when deciding to acquire a franchise, how globalization impact the decision-making process for card connection.
So now we will talk about territories conflict, and we will cover why the franchisors need to clear the conflicts, what are the conflicts in the franchise business, what is the franchise territories and how is it defined, what is the types of territories, why is it important to the franchisee, what are the problems with territories, and how to solve the conflicts. So at beginning, why the franchisors need to clear the conflict. Franchising is a business marketing strategy to cover maximum market share, and it gives benefits to the franchisor, which is franchising allow a business to have an international presence. Also, franchisors can experience economies of scale. Franchisors can benefit from growth without worrying about running costs. And finally, the franchisors receive royalty payments that are set as a percentage of profits. The franchisors need not to lose these benefits. Therefore, he should solve the instance. Okay, so what are the conflicts in the franchise business? The franchise model may be a unique business model, but it has conflicts just like any other type of business. However, their conflicts are slightly different and they can be seen as a conflict between two business partners, the franchisor and the franchisee. After all, they are in a partnership which shares a common goal, but the conflicts can arise from their own personal goals. They both want the franchisee to succeed, but the reason behind this is different. The franchisee wants to succeed as to have their own profitable business, but the franchisor wants it to make the franchise grow. Start Your New Franchise will look into the common disputes between these two stakeholders and the methods used to successfully resolve them. And we have 4 possible causes for conflicts. So first is franchise support, which is the level of support provided by the franchisor to the franchisee. And second is franchise sales and marketing, which is the business is not performing at the level expected. Also, we have operational franchise process, which is franchisee feel that compliance to the rules set out by the franchisor is limiting their ability to sell. And finally, we have the franchise territory, which we will focus on. And it's often be decided upon in the franchise agreement. This, however, doesn't stop franchisee from encouraging the borders which cause conflicts among franchise members. This has to be sorted as soon as it occurs as not to turn into large conflicts among what are essentially business partners. Clear boundaries need to be set if you are to make boundaries. This is to prove if somebody was in the wrong, then any doubt can't be misplaced and will likely lead to occurrences becoming less frequent. Okay, what is a franchise territory? We can define it as the area within which a franchisee is authorized to establish and operate a franchise business. Okay, now how is a franchise territory defined? Franchise territory can be defined based on the population, zip codes, demographics, marketing area, online sales, locations, and etc. In franchising, territories are defined in a couple of different ways. One of the most common ways to define a territory is zip codes, closely related by countries. Another way franchisors define a territory is with demographics. The right demographics for the type of franchise opportunity they are offering. For example, the number of households with an income of over 100,000, or maybe the number of households with young children. So what types of territories? Exclusive and protected can actually have different meanings in the franchise context. If your franchise territory is truly exclusive, your business should be the only source of the franchisor's goods or services in the territory. On the other hand, if your territory is merely protected, then your franchise agreement may authorize certain forms of competition, such as franchisor sales through alternative channels of distribution. For example, the internet. So why is it important to the franchisee? A franchisee's territories represent the foundation of their business. It's where their customer revenues and increased growth will come from. Also, it's room for growth and has the potential to help you in reaching your financial goals. A territory that's too small can restrict the growth of sales. In some franchise programs, a neighboring franchisee can be on the border of another franchise territory and via for customers in their territory. Okay, what are the changes that may happen to franchise territories? This can happen because of improvement in technology used by the franchise system, greater demand for the franchise, or changes in prospects demographics within the territory. So now, what is the problem with territories? One of the major problems that can occur is when a franchisee attracts business from outside of its allocated territory. Such problems often occur in franchise systems where there is a service being offered to customers on a mobile spaces. For example, gardening and lawn mowing services, where a franchisee receives a referral and attract business from outside of its agreed territory. The problem can also arise when a franchisee has an existing client within its territory, and that customer moves premises outside of the territory, but wishes to continue using the services of their existing provider, rather than contracting the franchisee for the territory that they have moved to. Issues have also arisen with the recent growth of internet sales. This has caused disputes within franchise systems, as this source of sales has opened up opportunities for franchisors that may not have been originally contemplated. So how to solve the conflict? A good franchise agreement will have clear guidelines to deal with such issues and rules dealing with the allocation of work. Some franchise agreements recognize that they may occur and they attempt to deal with this issue in advance. Solutions range from an absolute prohibition to trading with customers from outside the territory, to allowing such a transaction to occur but require the franchisee to make a payment to the franchisee of the territory that the customer came from. In scenarios where issues can arise between neighboring territories, there are often strict controls on how advertising can be carried out, so that one franchisee is not seen to be attempting to attract business from the territory of another franchisee. There are often controls on whether an individual franchisee can have its own website. It's more normal for there to be one website for the whole franchise system that is controlled by the franchisor. Many franchise agreements, even those that provides for exclusive territories, give the franchisor the right to change the territories. So at the end, the franchisors need to be clear about these instances. Some franchise agreements will allow the franchisor to change the territory should the circumstances arise. This is an indicator of changes in the demographics within a territory, a development in technology, or a rise in the demand for the product or services being offered within the franchise system. Thank you.
What's the potential stockities? Potential stockities refers to any person, including his agent, representative, or employee, who is close to the concerned party or any of their representative, agent, or employee for the purpose of discussing establishment or possible establishment of a franchise relationship in which he participates. Analyze that potential stockities in the area. Potential stockities should have a good psychological. The stockities needs enough money. The stockities need a healthy physical. What ongoing decisions are necessary about the size of franchise area? Examining various competitors in the area, knowing the product and its price and total of competitors. Establish starting point. Better measure customer demands. Last distance and be incomparable. AMING for approval from the franchisor. In terms of set selection, marketing, materials, promotion, and advertising. Franchise agreement. Share some brand under franchise system. Changes in franchise territory. When a prospective franchise wants to equal a French operation, they are usually buying the right to operate in picture territory. Most franchise agreements give the French the right to change the territory or alternative to start a new French within the territory and the correct sentence that would allow the territory to maintain other franchise operation. However, not all franchises include this French territory in their agreement. Also here, change in the French territory. There is a reason why having territory for franchise. Franchises do have expectation towards their territory. Changes in the franchise territory typically depend on what is stated. It depends on what is stated on the French agreement. It also depends on who is making the request for any changes, whether the franchisor or the franchise. As a VA, franchise needs to take steps to minimize the territory-related risk. The impact, demographic development, technology, and rise in demand of the product in the French system. The impact of demography. Demographies involve gender. It involves gender, age, like age, birth, population distribution, and population density in the area. Demographic effects the changes in the franchise system through increasing age. The aging locals are providing real opportunity for care for the elderly and health care. The impact at development technology. Technology has become essential for operation of a franchise business, although this includes not only operation at real business, but management, franchise relationship across countries and control bodies. Technology will make easier for franchise system to operate worldwide. The last one, a rise in the demand of product. Day by day, the demand of for products the world make in increasing in this franchise business. Increasing product demand due to the increasing number of customers who are increasingly attracted to the product. This gives other branches will also be affected by the increase in product demand in one franchise.
For the first sentence, in study case, is Calculation is one of the United Kingdom's largest card publisher and a market leader in the franchise distribution of greeting cards in the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. And for the interpretation, is Calculation, card publisher, market leader, franchise distribution, greeting card, United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland. And for explanation for Calculation are the world's largest franchise distributor of greeting cards and operate a franchise network that cover the UK and the Republic of Ireland (ROI). And the explanation for card publisher, any company that publish card holder. Next, explanation for the market leader is a company with the largest market share in an industry that can often use its dominance to affect the competitive landscape and direction the market takes. Next, franchise distribution. Franchise are a method of distributing products and services that involve a franchisor which establish the brand's trademark and formal business system, and the franchise who pays a royalty and usually an initial fee to be able to use the franchise name and system. The franchise system that have been formed aims to expand the economy. And for greeting cards, the explanation is a piece of paper or thin cardboard having any of a variety of shape and format and bearing a greeting or message of sentiment. In the United Kingdom, there were 63 franchises in the UK at the beginning of the 2017, and lastly, Republic of Ireland, about 12,000 retail locations in ROI were using its service. Next, the second sentence is established in 1992. It is regarded as one of the Britain's best-run franchise operations and has been a member of the British Franchise Association since 1995. And for the interpretation, is established, best-run franchise operation, and British Franchise Association. And the for explanation for established is Simon Holmes, who started his first business at the age 24, established Card Connection in 1992. He built up the company Frame Express, a chain of fast picture framing shops,
and built these two 16 outlets. In 1989, he sold it to the public company, which is the Oliver Group plc. Next, the explanation for best run franchise operation. As a franchise opportunity, Card Connection quickly became a significant success, resulting in over 100 franchises in the UK and Ireland over the next 50 years. And lastly, British Franchise Association. And the explanation is British Franchise Association is self-regulatory body for the UK franchise sector. Card Connection became a full member of the British Franchise Association BFA in 1995. Next, the third sentence, each franchise don't operate under a standard retail format and instead act as intermediaries in supplying cards to a range of retail outlets in allocated franchise area. And for the interpretation is franchises, standard retail format, intermediaries, supplying card, retail outlet, and franchise area. For the franchise, the explanation is franchise is the right or license granted by a company to an individual to market and trade products and service in a specific area or territory. Each Card Connections franchise will support of a winning sales team who will help expand the company's portfolio of clients. For standard retail format, the explanation is retail format refers to the overall makeup, design, and function of a given retail store. It is likely already have a decent idea of some of the most popular retail formats around, even if you don't know them by name. And for intermediaries, the explanation is an intermediaries act as an conduit for goods or service offered by supplier to a consumer. Intermediaries include brokers, agents, dealers, wholesalers, and retailers that buy and resell goods. Next, for the shopping card, the explanation is Card Connections franchise make the card available to someone to a range of retail outlets in allocated franchise area. Retail outlets, the explanation is Card Connection provides greeting cards spinner and gift display free to their clients' retail outlets. And they supply greeting cards and other products to retailers on a consignment basis. Lastly, the explanation for a franchise area is all of the Card Connections franchise area for sale are already established and have great growth potential as well as proximity to retail outlets.
Next, we will proceed for the second paragraph of the case study at the second sentence. So first, case study, the first sentence is typically its franchises holders supply products to post offices, convenience stores, gas stations, and other retailers. For the interpretation, franchise, supply, and retailers. For the explanation for this second sentence of the second paragraph, franchising is based on marketing idea that can be used by a company as a business expansion strategy. A person or organization that delivers a product or service that is required. Retailers, a person or company who sells things to the general public in small quantities for personal use or consumption rather than resale. The third sentence, given this customer base, Card Connections management takes advantage of a business model that requires it to place its products in the outlets. On a consignment basis, customers don't buy the stock and only pay for what they sell. For the interpretation for this sentence, first is customer base, business model, product, outlets, customers, consignment, stock, pay, and sell. For the explanation for the interpretation, first is customer base. A customer base is a group of your most committed and engaged consumers. Next one, business model. A business model is the strategy for producing money that your company employs. It's a description of how you provide value to your customers at a reasonable price. This section comprises descriptions of the products or services you want to sell, as well as information about your target market and any necessary expenses. Next, product. An item or person created as a result of a process or activity. Outlets. A location where merchandise is sold or distributed. Customers. A customer who purchases goods or services from a store or company. Next, consignment. Consignment is the practice of selling one's personal belongings to a third-party vendor such as consignment shop or an online thrift store. Stock. A stock, sometimes called equity, is a financial instrument that reflects ownership of a portion of a company. Pay. Give someone money that is owed to them for services rendered, commodities reserved, or a debt owed to them. And the last one for this sentence is sell. Sell in exchange for money, give or hand over something. Next one. Next sentence. This proved to be a success. So for the interpretation for this sentence is success. Explanation for success. Success means the achievement of a goal or purpose. Next sentence for this paragraph. At the beginning of 2017, there were 63 franchises across Britain and around 1,200,000 retail outlets using its services in ROI. So the interpretation for this sentence, just Britain, services, and ROI. The explanation. First, Britain. Britain means the United Kingdom, refers to England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland as a political unit. Although the United Kingdom is a completely independent, sovereign state, the four nations that make up the United Kingdom are also countries in their own right with certain sovereignty. Next, services. A system that meets a public need like transportation, communications, or utilities like power and water. And the last one is ROI, means Republic of Ireland.
For my sentence, the first sentence is, at any given time, the management of card connection looks for potential franchisees, a mix of new and unexplored territories and replacement franchisees. The interpretation for sentence 1 is a management of card connection, potential franchisees, a mix of new and unexplored territories, replacement of franchisees. The explanation for sentence 1. Management of the card connection. The management team of card connection company, James Conn is the chairman, Adrian Smith is the finance director, and managing director is Michael Johnson. Potential franchises. Card connection offers the franchisees income $50,000 a year and no experience needed. Card connection also provides training and support from the winning sales team. A mix of new and unexplored territories. Something that the company has not looked into the area or analyzed yet. Replacement franchises. Franchisor of card connection can terminate the franchisee's franchise by franchise agreement with approved franchisor. Next, for the sentence 2. To decide which areas to allocate to which franchise holder, Card Connection analyzed several data sources. The interpretation for sentence 2. Areas to allocate, franchise holder, Card Connection, and data source. The explanation for sentence 2. Areas to allocate. Franchisees use demographics to outline their territory. accurate demographic for the sort of franchises they are offered. Franchise holder. A person who has been granted a franchise. To be a franchise holder, you need working capital to ensure continued growth of your business and to have small storage unit to store card for outlets. Card Connection. Card Connection is the market leader in the franchise distribution of greeting cards and operate a franchise network which covers the UK and Ireland. Data source. A source that can be used as data analytic for finding new areas for franchise. The last sentence from me is the primary data drivers are demographic, a combination of raw population figures and number of households. My interpretation is the interpretation for last sentence is data drivers, demographic, raw population figure, households. The explanation: data drivers, a set of data that contribute to the data analysis to get useful information for the card connection franchise. Demographic. The statistical characteristics of human population, such as age or income, used especially to identify markets. Raw population figures. Population data allows marketers to better adjust products and services based on age, segmentation, and diversity. And lastly, household. Understanding changes in a household is so important to card connection company. That is to help them to minimize potential problem and maximize new opportunities. Now let me tell you about how might globalization impact the decision-making process for the card connection. Globalization has improved access to information and the transfer of cultural value and belief. This put pressure on managers to change their leadership style from traditional authoritarianism to participatory transformational leadership. Employees no longer provide blind loyalty to the company and its owners' loyalty is gained through rational decision and action by manager. Next, handling risk. Decision making involves taking risks. These decisions are made to meet the uncertain future demands. This means that management needs to apply risk management principles to minimize the possibility of unexpected and unwanted events. As a result, globalization and increasing uncertainty have increased the need to use risk management tools for decision making and the development implementation of international strategies.
So, the third point is globalization can reduce of barriers to international trade. Despite globalization's effect, governments have greatly reduced the barriers to international trade. In some nations, however, nation companies are still protected from intense competition. Therefore, managers must be consider international trade barriers erected by a particular country when deciding whether or not to enter a certain foreign market. The reduction of the international trade barriers has further facilitated globalization and led to increased competition among the business. Aside from that, globalization has encouraged diversification. Increased riskiness of the decision and intense competition from the globalization has forced companies to diversify their operation across the national border in order to grow and increase market share. In addition, international diversification can be described as a strategic option through which a company can decide to enter international market in order to grow, achieve sustainable competitive advantage, and increase its sale and market share in different country or region.
Okay, for the conclusion, making judgments or decision making, the benefits and drawbacks of the market should always be considered with the positive aspect taking precedence. Second, they must make informed decisions based on the effects of globalization and other factors so that the franchise operation may run effectively and without unnecessary costs.